Hello, everybody, and welcome to Electric City Sentai Denzicaster here on the ECS Network. I'm Mike, and I am joined this week by
Roger,
Andrew,
and today we also, as you may see periodically, we have a new mascot. We recently adopted a new kitten. This is Duncan, the Denzi kitty. Morgan is the Denzi cat. Duncan is the Denzi kitty. She's the baby here, so you may see her. And as a shout out to my old friend Austin Creed from my days at NWA Anarchy, Rajo here is sporting the Up Down Down shirt. They do not need our plug, but maybe Austin, you'll plug us. I don't know.
yeah.
But at least one of us here is going to try and keep it tight for you. So today we are starting a brand new series here on Denzicaster. Ha ha! Hello, cat. Let's
All the claws.
all the claws.
All the claws.
So we have a new series starting. That's not getting edited out. We have a new series.
That's a T-shirt.
All the claws. We have a new series starting here on Denzicaster. We are starting Hikonin Sentai Akibaranger. Now, full disclosure, this started by accident. What we were doing is I've seen tons of tokusatsu shows. These gentlemen have not. And
very few.
so we were going through sort of the openings and some of the previews of a whole bunch of different tokusatsu shows. And while you guys out there are figuring out the next long series that you'd like us to cover, we're going to do some short stuff in the meantime. But we were going through different shows, and we started looking at the opening and whatnot to Akibaranger, and I hear unanimous voices in the room saying, just let it play. So we've watched the first 3 episodes of Hikonin Sentai Akibaranger. Slight bit of background on the show. Akibaranger is the unofficial Sentai. It was produced by Toei. It's the same teams that are behind the Super Sentai series and all that stuff.
The 37th one.
Well,
Unofficially.
unofficially the 37th Sentai. Officially, the 37th Sentai is Kyoryuger, but the Samba Dancing Dinosaurs. But these kids have aspirations of becoming the 37th Super Sentai. But it was, in many ways, a parody of Super Sentai, and at the same time a loving tribute, because what is a parody if not a loving tribute to something? You got to like it to be able to make fun of it. And in this case, they have the official actors come in and play themselves, and we have the official Super Sentai heroes periodically show up for different tribute episodes and the like. So, pretty cool concept, and the concept is that Akibaranger is the real world. Super Sentai is what it is here for us. It is nothing more than a television show that has been around for a really long time and has a whole lot of fans. Mm-hmm. So our hero of the piece, and I think Roger's notes just went careening into the floor. Are you going to need those?
That'd probably be okay.
Okay.
I don't want her to eat them.
Yeah, I don't want her to eat the pen, so
Yeah.
she can eat the rope. That's fine. I'd rather her take out the rope than my bag of miniatures. So, but the basic premise of the show sees Akagi Nobu, Akiba Red, a 29-year-old Super Sentai fanboy, basically, diehard otaku.
Yeah.
And he knows everything about every Super Sentai ever. He is the walking, talking encyclopedia. And our heroes become heroes by way of just being delusional.
Mostly, yeah.
Extremely.
Delusion power, actually.
Yes. So
this guy has a lot of blackouts, and he just kind of goes off and just sees something, and it triggers him in the world, and he just goes off into his own little fantasy world, and kind of something happens to him that he's like, oh, I could get that ranger to help me, and then comes back to reality, boom, not as cool stuff happens.
So we'll get some first impressions real quick, and then we'll take a look kind of at the episodes one by one. So your first impression of Akibaranger. Now I've seen this show all the way through like 3 times. So, but what was your first impression?
I had a feeling I was going to like it because it doesn't take itself seriously and it breaks the third wall a couple times, and just the general, just lighter tone of everything. Mm-hmm. And it kind of has its like little stereotypes and little more or less cases, like the the super fan, and then he's kind of socially awkward and everything like that. But it's starting to actually develop kind of a group sort of family dynamic after the first couple episodes. So I'm enjoying that.
Andrew?
Yeah. I like it, I do. It's just one...
You sound like you're trying to convince yourself that.
Yeah, it's a train wreck, and you just can't look away.
It is.
But it's so good.
It really is just a tremendous train wreck. That's the best way to put it.
It's good in spite of itself.
It's a show that was built on the tropes of Super Sentai, and not in the way of, well, it's Super Sentai, so we have to have a giant robot. It's Super Sentai, we have to have some device that lets them transform. It's Super Sentai, we have to have this villainous group of monsters, and we have to have our spandex-clad heroes. No, they built it on these tropes to use that as the foundation, and it built them on the tropes with all of the characters in the show knowing their tropes. That's what intrigues me so much about the show. It intrigued me when I watched it originally, and it's what makes it fun now.
The superfan knows the tropes, and he'll correct the other people when they don't do something right.
Yes.
Like,
He
that's
gets
not
really
how
proud.
it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets really, really proud when they actually get it right.
Yeah.
And they even weaponize the tropes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's... so to go through some of the episodes, and we'll discuss them as we go through. The first episode sees the introduction of our characters. We see Akagi Nobu. He is introduced in true superfan fashion. He has the budget Deca Ranger civilian uniform, which is just black slacks with red duct tape, and his red jacket has some packing tape on the back with a hand-drawn SPD logo on it. And it's him running down a darkened hallway, very reminiscent of Deca Red's debut in Deca Ranger. And it turns out that he does work for SPD. He works for Special Pumpico Delivery Service.
Yep.
And he gets ridiculed by his boss.
Whap, right in the head, right when he walks in.
Yes. But on his route, we see that, we see more evidence that he's the Super Sentai super fan. He's also an anime fan, Oitan, which is an anime created specifically for this show. So here's one of those cases of something that is not a real life property. They actually made it just for the show. Mm-hmm. And then you have, you have him try and chase down a burglar or a purse snatcher, and in his own mind, he super cool rode his bike down a massive set of steps in an outdoor park. Attacked the dude, never had to get off the bike, scooped up the purse and gave it back to the lady. In reality, he fell down the stairs on the bike. The lady whose purse got snatched grabs the bike, throws it at the purse snatcher, knocks him unconscious, rescues herself, and comes back and gives the guy his bike back. At which point he gets recruited. And the very first trope he realizes is when he's introduced to who he thinks is the actress that is going to be playing the Blue Ranger in a new television show, because he thinks he's being recruited to play the Red Ranger, the Sentai Red in the series. Her name is Aogi, I think. I'm mispronouncing it horribly. It's Aoyagi. Oyagi, I think. And in Japanese, Aka, or AKI, Aki, as well, is the word for red. So the kanji for red is part of his actual name, Akagi. Ao, out of Ayagi, is blue. So he instantly realizes, here's your first trope. Well, I'm Akagi, I'm red. You're Oyagi, you have to be blue because it's in your name. Because back in the day, that was a trope of Super Sentai. Mm-hmm. They all had their colors as part of their real names. So, and he laments when they decide they're going to go find the yellow one. It's like, do you realize how hard it is to find the kanji for yellow in somebody's name?
Oh, yeah.
So, and then he gets all excited when the Yellow Ranger...
5 seconds.
Yeah, it takes 5 seconds for them to track one down.
Yep.
And he's all excited because the person that's selected is another girl. So for the first time in Sentai history, blue and yellow are girls at the same time. Which is an actual first for any Sentai, super official or otherwise. But that sort of serves as the setup. They're given their transformation devices, the Zikuns, and which are basically Oitan toys.
And then on to the secret base, which is actually a cosplay club called the Secret Base.
It's called the Sentai Cafe Secret Base.
Secret Base, and they're like, "Oh, must be the place."
This must be our secret base.
And it's a cosplay cafe, so people don't really like. They could wear anything in this place, and people don't even care because you have cosplayers coming in and out, ninja, anything.
And the waitresses are always in the civilian garb of some Sentai team from the past. It changes basically every episode. They have the props from different shows are actually adorning the walls, and in most cases they're actually props, and in other cases they're vintage toys.
Yeah.
But we see them do their training in the first episode. We see them get all excited and use this, and this is when they find out, oh, this crap's all in your head. It's a delusion. So that's the plot. They're not actually fighting anyone. It's just their delusions. And we meet our bad guys.
Yep.
Who are basically an evil business.
Yep. An evil realty company, actually.
Yeah, well, for the first episode, they're an evil real estate company.
Yeah. It changed. The business changes, I believe, per episode.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Basically, with the plot of trying to destroy Akihabara, Japan, because there's no place for geeks in Japan. And our team round out, we have the Super Sentai geek with Akiba Red. We have the closet anime and fighting geek with Akiba Blue. And then we have the cosplay slash
Sentai fan.
Well, slash pervert.
Yeah, really big pervert.
With Akiba Yellow, who is the person that gets off on the male-male relationship kind of deal. So she's a fan of guy-on-guy manga and stuff like that. So very interesting in that regard.
Fun dynamic.
Yeah. So,
but they meet their Zordon more or less is a girl that's in the lab coat that runs the whole place, the secret base cosplay bar, and she's just like, well, I'm going to kind of help you out and give you your equipment and everything. And she comes to them kind of as a friend, but as I watch the show, it seems like she's trying to experiment on them and see what they can do.
Yeah, she really doesn't like
and then
them.
she just watches what they do, and she's like, huh, that's interesting, and let me try this, and let me try this. And so she comes like she's like a shepherd, or I know what I'm doing, so I'm going to tell you what you're doing, and so you can do it better. But it's like they're kind of, they're mice in a maze.
And her name is Hakase, which is a Japanese word that can mean professor or doctor, and her costume at the cafe is a lab coat.
Yep.
So they immediately refer to her as Hakase Hakase.
Hakase. 3 Hakases.
Yes, Hakase Hakase Hakase.
And she was like, no.
And she said, no. It's Hakase Hiroyo, and she is the shop owner.
Yep.
But the first episode, we see the first time they weaponize a trope. Because when and I forget her name, I don't know if you wrote it down, but it's the
Ioi, the little
the villainous
Malshina.
Malshina. That's what I was thinking. Malshina, at one point, who is our villainess for the series, scantily clad. That in and of itself is an old Sentai trope. That would have been a character as we would have described for the dads.
Yeah.
And
it's aimed at a more mature audience. The entire
God,
show.
yeah. This
not for kids.
This actually aired around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
In the evening in Japan.
Especially with the Swiss cheese paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this particular villainess, who is also decked out in highly stylized German regalia. That's another, because I don't know if you noticed the Iron Cross that she wears on her necklace.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another age-old tokusatsu and Super Sentai trope, is that all bad guys are somehow connected to Nazis, even if they don't say it. But at one point, she tells the Monster of the Week, well, you've got this, I'll be going now. At which point, Akiba Red immediately knows that they've won.
Because actually, the wind blows, and she's wearing like a scantily clad outfit and leather. And she's in like a mountainous region with like a lot of air, and she's like, okay, I'm going to leave. She's like freezing in next to a rock, trying to like block the wind.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think I'm going to let you go. I think you got this. And,
It's cold. You got this. I'm leaving.
I've never seen anybody leave because of like, it's cold. I don't want to fight.
But at this point, Akagi knows they've won, because one of the great tropes in Super Sentai is if the enemy commander says, I'll leave this to you. That's the signal for the good guys to make their big comeback and save the day. Yep. And he knows it, and he tells the bad, no, you just lost because she said you got it.
Yeah.
So, when I first watched this show, I could not. I had to rewatch episodes because I laughed too much.
Yeah. I can see that.
So, I know that one of the standout things for you, because your immediate reaction when we were watching this, every Sentai villain has foot soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All of them.
It's great.
These are by far some of the funniest.
If you're familiar with Power Rangers, Rita Repulsa has her putties. If you're familiar with Tokyuger, the Shadow Line has their crows. Well, in this series, Setsuma Zed, I think or Setsuma Oats, the bad guys, they have the faceless corporate drones.
Faceless drones.
Faceless drones, yeah.
It's like faceless drones, and it's like every guy like
It
hated
looks
their job
exactly
forever.
the same.
They just have the white face on everything, and
White
they're just
face,
like
blue hair,
some
white
people
streak
have,
through the hair.
and some people are just like janitors. Some people are just like cleaning people, but they all have to like attack with whatever they have.
The real cheap business suits.
Yeah.
With their weapons they carry around are mops or brooms and things like that.
Not very good.
There was
weapons.
a briefcase.
There was a briefcase. What amuses me the most is, so this is a 13-episode series. It was not meant for. It got a second season.
Surprisingly.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen a lot.
It doesn't happen ever in
Yeah.
Super Sentai. They brought it back for another season, and when you watch this series, you really do kind of get the idea that a lot of this is done on the cheap.
Oh yeah.
And these are the cheapest foot soldiers of all bloody time, because it's nothing more than dudes in street clothes with masks and gloves.
Pretty much, yeah.
This was where Toei was like, okay, we spent way too much money on the hero costumes, because the hero costumes are pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
We're going to save money on the gumps.
Yep.
So they even recycle, and they save money on the villain of the weeks.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. The second
they use the same guy, more or less, like the same suit.
It's
only slightly different.
Yeah, the only difference.
They'll never tell you.
Yeah, they will never tell you what the difference is. They just say, he even says, I'm slightly different, but I'm not going to tell you, and that should make you suffer.
Yeah.
So the second episode, we.
The little the anime like IO or
AO10.
AO10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their morphers are AO10, the little like a doll of her with like mech arms just coming off her head.
Maybe that big.
And that's their morpher. They put it all together and they like shoot it like more or less a gun. And that's how they transform. I always thought that was kind of interesting because their morphers are like the biggest thing. They're like about like football size, and like horrible to carry around. Everybody else is small. They can just put it in their pocket. This thing's are like large.
If you want a piece,
I always thought that was neat.
If you want a piece of Sentai trivia, this show actually predates Kyoryuger, which in that no Super Sentai team ever used a gun for a morpher until Akibaranger, and then Kyoryuger, which followed them, I think a year or two later. They were the first Sentai team to actually officially to have a gun as their morpher. So, little trivia, because Oyotan not only is their communication device, it's their morphing device, it is also their sidearm. Yep. So they use it for everything.
Oh yeah.
And of course, the one thing that does happen, which amused everybody at the very end of episode 1, is the lash trope, which the show is so built around these that it's either going to confirm them, weaponize them, or subvert them. Is no, that they beat the bad guy. No, it's not over. He's going to grow giant. We're going to have to fight him in our giant mecha. At which point Hakase comes over, but we don't have a giant mecha.
And then they're all worried for a while.
They're all like, crap, what do we do?
Entire day.
They wait an entire day. And it cuts back and they're like watching the sunset over the mountain that they fought on.
And they're all
throwing
mad.
rocks.
Yeah, they're all just so sad.
Well, this sucks.
It was like nothing.
No, they just killed him. They used their guns and they shot the monster and he just blew up and they killed him at that point and then they thought he was going to come back.
Now
they actually used their guns and then the monster like, why you can't use your guns yet? That's cheating. And it's like, is it cheating? I don't know. Boom.
So and of course another thing about this where they make fun of certain tropes in Super Sentai. we always have the pose. We always have the roll call.
You have the explosions in the background. Like,
Which either scare the crap out of them or make debris fly in their face.
Sometimes it burns them.
Sometimes it burns them. Or they're not coordinated enough to do their roll call properly.
The poses are pretty funny. They'll whack the other one in the face. And be like, hey, why are you so close to me? I'm like, what are you doing?
The smoke that doesn't
We're supposed
disappear.
to be perfect. Yeah, the smoke's like behind them about 20 feet. I'm like, okay.
So it's really just amusing, and the first episode does a good job of setting all of that up. Episode 2, we get to Akage's crisis of conscience, so to speak, because it means nothing if it's a delusion. Yeah. If it's not real, then why am I doing it?
They dropped the whole delusion bomb at the end of episode 1. That this wasn't real. You just kind of did it in your head.
It broke his heart.
Yeah.
He really wanted to be a ranger because this is his life.
Yeah.
This is his fandom. This is what he wants to do.
And through the course of the episode, he winds up coming to the conclusion. The other two are like, no, this is fun, or no, this will benefit me in my fighting.
Yeah.
Because one of them does martial arts tournaments, that's Blue, and then Yellow just is a fangirl, and every
she's
Just enjoys it.
Yeah.
She is probably insane.
Reminds me of a few people I know, actually. That's kind of frightening.
Yeah.
But you have, you have those characters like, no, we'll do it. It's fun. Why not? And so Red is kind of like, well, eventually he's like, maybe I should, and eventually he does come back and he realizes there is something to it. There's a reason to do this.
Once he has delusions of other Super Sentai heroes coming and talking to him and like telling him you should fight.
Yeah.
Pretty much is actually a hit, pulls him back in. And it's hard to say if that was it a delusion?
That was not a delusion.
Okay, exactly.
He won.
Well, let's who wants to tell it?
Yeah. Okay. So he's kind of trying to figure out what's going on, and a car pulls by with the actor who played Asuka Bonbon, Deca Red from Tokusou Sentai Deca Ranger, and he has this delusion that it actually is Bon from Deca Ranger, telling him, no, all of our hopes and dreams are on you. You have to go be the hero. You have to do this. And he's begging Bon to be his mentor. Mm-hmm. At which point we cut back to reality, and the actor is saying, yeah, buddy, that's a little much. And,
thanks for your fandom, but you're freaking me out.
Yeah, thanks for being a fan. I'm not really Asuka Bon. I'm an actor who plays him, and the only reason I'm in costume is because I'm doing voiceover for Power Rangers now, and there's a Power Rangers SPD event today, and they wanted me to show up in costume. Yep. And he kind of voices all of this, and we know that his depression deepens until when he is about to throw his morphing device into the river. Across the street is Deca Red in costume. It's the hero, Deca Red, and he goes off, and Deca Red never says a word, does a whole lot of sign language and pointing and charades, and when none of that works and Akagi isn't convinced, he drop kicks Akagi into the pavement.
Kick. Right to the chest.
Both feet.
Which reminds Akagi of a scene from Deca Ranger where Bon does the exact same thing to Deca Blue to break him out of his depression and vomit.
Reassure him.
And it reassures him and reinvigorates him and makes him realize this is what I'm supposed to do. And we find out that Deca Red was a stuntman hired by Hakase.
They even, if you guys
they don't even
noticed
show his face.
The helmet was put on the table.
Mm-hmm.
It was the shittiest looking helmet.
It's actually the stunt helmet.
Yep.
So in Japan, if you're not familiar with the Super Sentai shows and the way they do their costuming, you have the helmets with the visors that are the really nice visors that
for
look
close-up
like,
shots,
which are the hero suits. And then you have the stunt suits, and the stunt suits, the visors are literally just painted black with holes drilled in them so that people can see out. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's the helmet that's on the countertop is the stunt helmet. So absolutely, you're absolutely right. And they never show his face.
Nope.
Which
show his face.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I guess they just didn't want to pay a guy. I don't know. So you have that. The episode ends. We do, I believe, in this episode get to see Atasha Robo for the very first time. so we do get to see that. It basically is next to kin to Michael Bay's Transformers,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and it
Greatest mech ever.
yes, and it rebels against them at one point.
Dances away.
They don't have enough power. To
Yes, they're
do what
not.
They wanna
They're
do.
not
Not
delusional.
delusional power.
They're
Yeah.
not delusional enough to make the mecha work.
You need a certain number of power to make the finishing move, and they can't do it, and it just runs away.
Yes.
And they're like, huh?
So we'll fast forward a little bit. We get to episode 3. We get our first non-recycled Monster of the Week.
Yep.
It's a new costume.
Very weird looking.
Starts
Yes.
out in a karaoke bar too, which is
Yes.
new, which is kind of neat.
We start out in a karaoke bar. We start out with Akiba Red getting drunk with his mates.
Very drunk.
Seeing his crush say that she's single, so he now is filled with false hope. And
Well, supposedly sees his crush.
suppose
Well, I don't know. I think he really saw her.
It-
I don't know if that was delusion.
you
or
know,
not.
I think
It's hard to say if any of the show is a delusion.
exactly, and I think Andrew is leaning towards he's making all this shit up as he goes along.
Yeah.
But we have that, and we have him get drunk. He has to go help his fellow Akiba Rangers fight, and because he is drunk, he is more powerful. His delusions are unencumbered,
Sake helps. It
Yes.
makes it better.
and
Very
so.
much.
So the doctor decides, let's get everyone drunk and see what happens.
Except for Blue, who is too young.
Yes, Blue is underage, so she can't drink.
And it's horrible being the only sober person in a room full of drunks. As some would know. Well, some disagree, but some say yes. Moving on.
Depends, because I personally find it amusing sometimes.
Depends on the drunk thing.
Well, yes, it does depend on who's drunk.
Yes.
That's true.
So then, after we see this drunken fighting work, and we see the experimentation happen, we figure out that there's a fine line in this show between tipsy and blitzed.
Oh yeah.
And red and yellow cross it. Blue doesn't understand why she needs to know all of this crap about Sentai, and then apparently realizes on her own she is very much the closet fan, and so she's going to deny any love of it in public, and then she's going to go research it and find out. And so while red and yellow are getting drunk to train, she actually goes and watches Bokenger on DVD to train. So fairly interesting fight comes next, because we get to see one of Akiba Yellow's other geekdoms. We get to see her being the pervert who loves the male-on-male action. So, and she winds up being completely useless for pretty much the entire fight.
Very useless. She just looks and she's up.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting because one of the tropes of this, like one of the weird things about this anime, the two women seem to be the stronger ones, and then in the first episode, the guy was like the weak link of this team, and then he would like
He's
fix
just the punching
things.
bag.
Yeah. He's like, I'm here to take the shots in the face, and then she's here to kick you when
Yeah.
you punch me.
Well, and I think that's something that's going to evolve throughout the series. He's the glue.
Yeah.
So I mean, he is the Red Ranger for this show. So eventually he'll get there.
Yeah.
But we get to see all these tropes form. We get to see a second personality out of Yellow. We skipped by that briefly. Yellow is a cosplay artist, and
Extreme.
yes, and she gets into character. So like the first couple episodes we see her, she is a cat girl, complete with the nya at the end of every line.
She takes it seriously
Yes,
Very serious.
until she loses part of her costume.
and then she
When the
just,
costume comes off, wow, her voice gets low.
she's
Very
got
low.
she's got some range.
Yeah.
But we also see her do like the elementary schoolboy costume in episode 3 and takes on that persona. At the end of episode 3, we see her in a Mad Hatter costume from Alice in Wonderland.
That was the briefest one.
Well, it's the one she's wearing in the opening credits,
Yeah.
so we'll see it more.
Probably gonna be popular.
So there's that. And there are like bits and pieces of other little tropes. Like there's one point where she's eating curry. I think that's in episode 2. She's eating a lot of curry, which was an old trope for yellow, for the different Yellow Rangers in old Super Sentai. So we see that. So after seeing all this go down in the fight, and Red is getting tricked over and over and over, falling for the same trick repeatedly. He is nuts
And drunk.
and drunk, and Yellow is useless because the monster of the week is molesting the Red Ranger.
A lot.
A lot.
Then Blue finally decides enough is enough. If you're going to keep molesting the Red Ranger, then I'm just going to go beat the crap out of your boss. She goes after Malshina, tries to take her out, and the trope of if you attack the main villain early in the show, you're going to lose, actually kicks in. She starts getting her ass beat, and then she starts quoting Bokenger, which prompts Boken Red to show up and help her in the delusion. And then they bury the monster of the week in sand and shoot him with their gun. So
Yeah, a giant shovel.
yes,
Yep. Lovely quote: "Adventure happens when you challenge the impossible." Challenge
Yeah.
what's possible.
so you have different. We are also seeing that in what is a riff on Gokaiger, which they haven't seen. Gokaiger is the 35th anniversary series, which came out the year before this, and in that 35th anniversary show, what they wound up doing is the Gokaigers could harness the powers of all the previous Sentai, and each of the old Sentais could give them, once they had acknowledged and given their blessing to this new team, give them their ultimate power, which they could not unlock until they had the team's blessing. In this show, you get something similar, where there are different outrageous powers that the team gets. For instance, Deca Red gives them the power to access the Deca Wappa, which is basically an oversized set of handcuffs.
It's funny.
And then we get the Boken Shovel, which is a shovel was actually the weapon used by their giant robot.
Huh.
So we get that. They had a big shovel sword.
Yeah.
So there's that. So we're seeing these things creep up. We're seeing the little tropes and the little tributes. The look of the show. What did y'all think? Somebody mentioned something about the hair.
That was me.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as you look at it, alright, Red Ranger, instant swoop.
Yeah, because in his regular hairstyle, he has like this swoop going on, right?
Yeah.
There's a swoop down and down.
Yeah, it comes down like
his
this.
face. Yeah.
Yellow Ranger, I'm still trying to puzzle that out because
It's pigtails.
Pigtails. Yeah.
Yep. So the helmets have the goofy hairstyles that the heroes have. So Akagi has the swoop going on with his hair, and so does his helmet.
Well, he has a down swoop, and then the helmet has an up swoop.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
an
Or up to
opposite
the side.
swoop. Yeah.
Then you have Yellow's has pigtails, and then Blue's has just the ponytail. It's been a long time since Sentai helmets had hair, or had stylized hair things on them. But this show does.
Because it's different.
Yeah, but I like the look, and the costumes are actually armored. The monsters are pretty amusing. We see where the budget didn't go when we look at the faceless drones.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So your overall impressions of the show, something you really like. We'll go there. What's something you really dig about the show, Andrew? Just one thing.
I'm still all about the drones because they're just so useless and fun.
That's pretty much what they are. Yeah.
They're a diversion.
Yeah.
Right. And in this show, they actually are played that way.
Yeah.
They're not played as being anything more than what they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not like, I have this massive army and you'll never be able to defeat it, like they say in every other Sentai Power Ranger. So no,
Yeah.
these are the drones. They're going to distract you. Go distract them now.
Yeah.
Something you really dig, Raj.
I think I'm going to enjoy probably just watching how these three characters interact with each other, because they're three totally opposite characters that probably wouldn't be friends
Ever.
in any other
Yeah.
sense of the word, that are thrown together and have to work together. I think that's going to be an interesting just journey to watch from start to finish, because most Asian storytelling has a journey. You're not going to be the same at the end when you're from the beginning.
Yeah.
They're going to be growth, strength, etc.
I was personally watching this, which I have not watched it in several years now. Just the tone of the show. Tokusatsu shows being something that it is nothing more than a toy commercial in most cases. This really isn't being a toy commercial because it's not aimed at that audience.
Yeah.
So it's and when you have a toku show that isn't aimed at the child audience, then
Yeah.
it tends to take itself incredibly seriously. Something like Garo.
Yeah.
That's another show. It's not aimed at a kid audience. It's not innately a toy commercial.
Yeah.
But it takes itself super seriously, super stylized.
Well, here in
This
recent
does
years,
neither.
you have actually older adults collecting toys and stuff like that too. So this
Sure.
might be aimed at an older audience for the toy demographic, possibly. But then I think it's just made for just as a love story to Sentai in general.
Well, I mean, they did, because they did have some toys for it. They
Yeah.
did do some action figures. They did a replica of the Moi Moi Zakun. They did all that stuff.
Yeah.
I actually had the figure arts for the series for years.
Oh wow.
But I love the fact that it just doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah.
Nope.
So,
They'll break the third wall. They'll talk about things and stuff.
and the
Yeah.
fourth wall, too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I really want to see more of the car.
Oh, yeah, the car is great. The car is just like posted with that anime all over it.
you took a bunch of notes. Pick out a couple of these notes that you like that...
I don't know. Just
or can you read your notes? My God.
somewhat, yeah. I liked pretty much a lot of stuff. I like the intro of the new bad guy because we
Yeah.
had more of the same like enforcer guy for the first 2 episodes. He changed his name a little bit. He had a long.
They all have
name.
long, drawn-out,
Very, very long.
unpronounceable names.
And
So-
then this bad guy was more attractive, and the yellow more or less fell for him as soon as she saw him. She's like, "You're so cool. I don't think I can beat him down." And she's like having this like just internal like
Yeah.
like fight while the other two are like
anime,
going at
like,
him.
Heartthrob.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, we could fall in love and do all this," and then you have the one shots. I love that because it'll cut to a static shot of like a painting of like her face and then like hearts and then like
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
stuff going on. For every like yay shot or anything like large motion shot, they have the boom one shot.
Yeah.
I really like that part a lot. And I don't know. I just liked. Let me see. I liked. Pretty much the expert on the team got drunk. She was drinking while she was watching them
Yeah.
fight
Yeah.
the people while they were drunk, and maybe she thought that would help. But then she was passed out by the end
Well-
of the fight. Which means they're like, "What do we do now?"
The-
Hello.
Well, it's one of the things that I enjoy because she makes a point of saying I never get red faced, which basically say I never get drunk.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they never say it. I'm pretty sure she was just drinking water while everyone else
Yeah.
was drinking sake initially.
Yeah.
And then she gets shit faced because
Because they're
what's
gone.
going on.
Who
Yeah.
cares?
So, was there anything about this that you just was a down?
Not really.
No. Okay.
Yeah. I'd say no. They'll probably have more different like monsters
Yeah.
of the week stuff like that. Probably more with the car. I'd like to see more with the car as opposed to just running away.
The only thing that I might say is a down for the show is, and this was something that was completely beyond their control, and after a fashion it works for them. I kind of wish they had a little more money.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, even as I say that, I think if they had more money, the show wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah.
They make it work.
Yeah, because
The lack of money leads to imagination, more or less.
Well,
in
it's
a
not
lot
even-
of things, American cinema and Japanese.
well, it's not even just that. It's because they have no budget to speak of. They also have, because I will say this, season 2, which is still fun, it's still amusing, it's still an awesome season. Season 2 has a budget. Season 2 is not as good.
It has a higher budget than number one.
Yeah, it has. I mean, it feels like it has more money. But the thing is that, like, the monster of the week getting recycled. There's a part that goes, I really wish you had a second monster costume for episode 2, but having costumes get recycled in tokusatsu is a very common thing. It's just usually they'll repaint them
Yeah.
or they'll change some stuff on so that they're not
Well, that's
blatantly the same
That's
thing.
what that was commenting on. More
Yeah,
or less.
he
there's
says-
there's a small difference.
He says there's a small difference, and but
Yeah.
there are usually very overt differences in most shows, so that
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't immediately realize it's the same costume.
Yeah.
And they'll even do that from like a monster that showed up in Mask Man might show up again in the following season, whatever that was. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. And you wouldn't be able to tell because they've done repaints or whatever. So, but all in all, it's a really fun show.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, we'll be going through Akibaranger all this month here on the ECS network. It's only 13 episodes, so we're going to do it in 4 of our episodes. So we've got 3 episodes down. That means the next time you see us, we're going through another 3 episodes of Akibaranger. And then when we do our grand finale, it will be the final 4 episodes of Akibaranger. So we're gonna knock these out. In the meantime, as we always ask you to do, please share, like, subscribe. all the things you do here on YouTube. Also, check us out on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Denzicaster. If you would like to support the ECS network, not just Denzicaster, but all of our great shows, please feel free to jump over to our Cafe Press store. It is cafepress.com/ECS network. You can find all kinds of cool t-shirts. You can find mugs and license plates and stickers, all kinds of great things from Denzicaster and all the other great shows here on the network. None of this money goes into our pockets. We're not going to make a dime off of it. It's to pay for new cameras, new equipment, things like that, and just help improve the channel overall. One thing you may have noticed, we don't have commercials that we put in anymore. There's no more monetized videos on our end on the ECS network.
Ooh, we can add those?
Just kidding. We had them for a while, but I'm not monetizing any of the episodes that go up anymore. And I'll be slowly but surely stripping the monetize option from all the old ones. So if you want to support us, if you want to help us out, please jump over to cafepress.com, and there'll be more ways if you want to help us out more directly. We're going to be putting those up in the not overly distant future from when this will be airing. And also, if you are so inclined, don't forget to check out the Denzi Blitz. That comes out on Tuesdays. The first one will have dropped this past Tuesday. We're going to be going through Ranger. That's actually what's up here behind us. So, and eagle-eyed viewers may realize that we take these way out of order because this was not up there when episode 1 was taped, if you watch. But yeah, that's what we're going through over on that show. We started that series there. We're going through that one pretty quick, so don't forget to check that out too. So, until next time, when we've got more of Hikonin Sentai Akibaranger, I'm Mike.
I'm Roger.
I'm Andrew.
And in the spirit of my dear friend, Awesome Austin Creed, keep it tight. We'll see you next time.